I killed my husband with my bare hands. Not literally, God. No. That would have been too merciful, but in the twisted courtroom of my mind, where justice is served cold and personal, I strangled the life out of the man I once loved, inch by inch, until his empire of lies crumbled to dust. The jury, a single stranger in a dive bar who looked at me across a sticky table and whispered, "You can have my body if you want revenge." And just like that, the world tilted on its axis, because I said yes without blinking. It started on a muggy August night in Chicago, the kind where the humidity clings to your skin like regret. I was Fiona Hargrove, 32, a mid-level accountant at a firm that laundered more dirty money than it filed taxes. My husband, Victor, was the golden boy, charismatic district attorney, all sharp suits and sharper smiles, the guy who could charm a judge into acquitting a serial jaywalker. We had the American dream boxed up in a Lincoln Park brownstone, granite counters, a rescue lab named Max, and weekend brunches at spots where the mimosas cost more than my student loans. But dreams like that, they're built on sand, and mine washed away the night Victor's phone buzzed with a text that wasn't from me. I was in the kitchen, chopping onions for some half-assed stir-fry, when it lit up on the counter. "Missed you last night. Coffee tomorrow?"
E.
My stomach dropped like I'd chugged bad whiskey. E for Elena? His campaign manager. The one with the yoga-toned arms and the laugh that echoed like wind chimes in a hurricane? I'd joked about her once. Over wine. But Victor had waved it off. "Baby, she's all work. No play."
Lies.
The kind that fester. I confronted him when he stumbled in at 2 a.m., reeking of bourbon and her perfume.
"Who's E?"
I asked, voice steady as a tightrope. He laughed, that booming DA laugh, and pulled me close. "Jealous? It's nothing."
Phi.
Campaign stress. But his eyes, those predator eyes, darted to the phone like it was a grenade. I let it go that night, because love is blind, and I was the idiot in the dark. Big mistake. Turns out, nothing was everything, an affair that had been simmering for months. Photos I'd later find buried in his deleted files. Her hand on his thigh at a fundraiser. His lips on her neck in the back seat of a town car. But betrayal's just the appetizer. The main course was the frame job. Victor was gunning for attorney general, and in Chicago politics, that means skeletons in every closet. A bribery scandal tied to a real estate mogul named Harlan Crow, a silver-haired shark who owned half the Loop skyscrapers and whispered in the ears of every alderman from here to Springfield. Crow had funneled cash through shell companies to grease Victor's campaign, kickbacks for zoning favors that displaced entire neighborhoods of working-class folks like my parents back in Gary, Indiana. Victor got cold feet when the feds started sniffing around.
He needed a fall guy. Me.
My firm handled the books for one of Crow's subsidiaries, innocent audits. Or so I thought. But Victor, that snake, had planted digital breadcrumbs, forged emails from my account greenlighting the payoffs, timestamps doctored to look like I'd signed off during late nights I spent waiting for him to come home. When the FBI raided our house, badges flashing like bad omens, they found evidence on my laptop, transfers to offshore accounts, memos initialed FH. Arrested in my pajamas, zip-tied in front of neighbors who whispered white-collar witch. I screamed Victor's name until my throat bled. He stood there, face a mask of feigned shock, murmuring to the agents. I had no idea. "Fiona."
God. How could you?
The betrayal hit like a freight train, not just the affair, but this sacrificing me, his wife of 8 years.
To save his skin.
I took the plea deal, 10 years in Logan Correctional. Minimum security, but soul-crushing all the same, because fighting it meant dragging our perfect life through the tabloids. And Victor promised leniency if I played nice.
Lies.
All of it. He divorced me from a hospital bed 6 months later, citing irreconcilable differences, while I rotted in a 6x8 cell, counting the bars like rosary beads. Prison broke me in ways I can't unwrite. Logan was a pressure cooker of forgotten women, meth moms, check kiters, and me, the trophy wife turned traitor. I learned to spot the real criminals, not the ones in orange jumpsuits, but the suits who pulled strings from high-rises. Letters from Victor stopped after the divorce, replaced by Elena's smug holiday cards, wishing you well.
Phi.
Vic soaring. Soaring on my grave.
The bitch.
I plotted in whispers during yard time, mapping revenge like a chess grandmaster, expose the affair, leak the real docs, watch his career implode. But paper walls don't hold water. And by release day, 5 years served on good behavior. I was a ghost, no job, no friends, maxed credit cards, living in a roach motel on the south side. That's when the stranger found me. Or I found him. The blue line to a job interview, some data entry gig that paid in ramen, rattled me into a dive called O'Malley's, where the beer was warm and the jukebox stuck on Springsteen. I nursed a pint, staring at my reflection in the scarred bar top, hollow cheeks, prison ink peeking from my sleeve, a barbed wire rose, inked in a moment of weakness. Eyes like chipped flint. The man next to me was unremarkable, mid-40s, rumpled trench coat, face like weathered leather, nursing a scotch like it owed him money. Rough night, he rasped, voice like gravel under tires. Rough life, I shot back, not looking up. He chuckled, low and knowing, and slid a business card my way. No name, just Solutions Unlimited and a number. Ever wish you could walk in someone else's shoes? Fix what they broke. Cryptic bullshit. The kind you ignore in Chicago bars. But he leaned in, breath sour with regret, and said those 5 words, "You can have my body if you want revenge." I laughed, manic, teetering on hysteria, thinking it was a pickup line from hell. But his eyes, they held mine, unblinking, and something shifted. The bar blurred, air thick as fog, and he whispered the terms, a ritual, ancient and impossible, passed down from some old-world grifter he'd crossed paths with in Belfast. Souls swapped, bodies exchanged, for 48 hours. No strings, except the truth. He was dying anyway, pancreatic cancer, stage 4, and wanted one last shot at settling scores with a crooked cop who'd ruined his family. Test drive, he called it. If it works,
Keep it.
if not, we're both ghosts, drunk on despair and cheap ale. I agreed. We stumbled to his efficiency in Pilsen, walls papered in yellowed news clippings about unsolved hits. He drew symbols on the floor in salt and his own blood, pricked finger. No drama, and chanted words that tasted like smoke on my tongue. I echoed them, heart pounding like a war drum. Then, agony, fire in my veins, the world inverting. And suddenly I was staring at me, my own body, slumped and gasping from across the room. It worked. Holy shit. It worked. Waking in his skin felt like slipping into a borrowed suit 2 sizes too big, calluses on hands that weren't mine, a rasp in the throat from years of camels, memories flickering at the edges like bad reception, flashes of his life. A wife lost to OD. A daughter in foster care. His name was Declan O'Rourke. Ex-PI turned nobody. And now I was him. My old body, Fiona's, stirred. His soul blinking back to life. Confused but grateful. 48 hours, he croaked in my voice. Make 'em count. I didn't waste a second. First stop, a burner phone from a corner bodega. Dialing Elena's office line. Posing as a tipster. I got dirt on Victor Hargrove. I lured her to a neutral spot. A coffee shop in Wicker Park where hipsters nurse lattes like lifelines.
She showed.
All Lululemon and entitlement, ponytail swinging like a metronome of malice. What do you have? She demanded. Not even sitting. I leaned in, Declan's gravel voice low. Proof your boy's a fraud. But first, tell me, did it feel good? Watching Fiona rot while you warmed his bed, her face strained, latte forgotten. Who the hell are you? Panic edged her tone. I slid a USB across the table. Files I'd swiped from Declan's stash. Dummy docs mimicking Victor's ledgers. Someone who knows betrayal when they smell it. Walk away from him. Or this hits the Sun Times by dawn. She bolted. But not before I snapped a photo with a hidden phone, her fleeing, guilt etched like acid. Blackmail's a blunt tool, but effective. By midnight, Victor's phone blew up with her texts. We need to talk.
Now.
I shadowed them to a hotel bar in the Gold Coast. Nursing a Jameson in the corner booth. Ears straining. Their argument was symphony to my scars, her accusations, his denials turning feral. You think I framed my own wife? For you? A slap, her hand on his cheek, then silence as reality sank in. The affair cracked open, spilling secrets like cheap wine. But Victor was no fool. He was a viper, coiled and calculating. By morning, Elena was on leave, and he was lawyering up, spinning narratives to his donors. Harlan Crow loomed larger now, the puppet master pulling Victor's strings from his penthouse eyrie overlooking Lake Michigan. Crow, the antagonist of my nightmares, 72. Ex-mayoral advisor turned kingmaker, with a Rolodex thicker than his conscience. He'd mentored Victor, bankrolled his rise, and when the bribe surfaced, he'd whispered the frame job in Victor's ear, sacrifice the pawn, save the night.
Me?
The pawn. Forgotten families in Cabrini Green, the collateral of his empire building, all pinned on my greed. I needed deeper access. Declan's body came with perks, a faded PI license, contacts in the underbelly, crooked cabbies, bent bartenders, a hacker kid in Logan Square who owed him for getting his sister off a possession charge. $20 and a six-pack got me into Crow's servers, emails, wire transfers, the smoking gun, a memo from Crow to Victor. Handle the wife. Make it stick. Jackpot. But revenge isn't a solo act. It demands audacity. The kind that courts controversy. That's when I made my first truly debatable call. I leaked a teaser to the Tribune, an anonymous drop of the affair photos. Elena's tear-streaked face blurred for deniability. DA's dirty secret. Infidelity amid scandal. The city erupted. Talk radio frothed. Feminists versus family values, while Twitter or X, whatever they call it now, lit up with justice for Fiona.
Me?
The ex-con. Painted as victim or vixen, depending on the feed. Victor's polls tanked. Donors fled like rats from a blaze. But it backfired in ways I couldn't predict. Elena, cornered and furious, flipped. She went public. A tell-all interview on WGN. Victor manipulated us all. Fiona was innocent, I know it. The twist? She wasn't lying. Not entirely. As the story broke, I holed up in Declan's flop, chain-smoking his luckies, piecing together the full rot. Hacking deeper revealed the real bomb. Crow wasn't just bribing Victor. He'd orchestrated the whole thing from the start, including Elena's recruitment. She was his plant: seduce the DA, keep him leashed, frame the wife if he balked. Elena thought she was climbing the ladder. Really? She was the noose. Her confession was Crow's countermove, sacrificing her to discredit me as a bitter ex stirring shit. Time ticked, 36 hours left in this borrowed shell. I needed the climax, the throat-slit moment. Infiltrating Crow's gala at the Art Institute was suicide wrapped in tuxedo, black tie affair for the elite. Security tighter than a nun's habit. Declan's contacts scored me an invite, forged as a consultant for a donor, and I slipped in, bow tie choking like guilt, mingling with the 1%ers who smelled my fraud like cheap cologne. Victor was there, hollow-eyed, arm candy swapped for a bland blonde consultant. Crow held court by the Monet, silver mane gleaming under chandeliers, toasting to new beginnings. I waited for the toast, then cornered Victor in the coat check, dim alcove, coats muffling our breaths. "Fi," he gasped, recognition dawning through Declan's unfamiliar face. I'd fed him a hint earlier. Anonymous text. "Remember the rose tattoo? It's blooming." "You destroyed me," I hissed, pinning him against the wall with a forearm that felt foreign but fierce. For what? A corner office and Crow's pat on the head. He sputtered denials, sweat beading like confessions. "It wasn't like that. I loved you."
But
Crow made me. Vulnerable Victor. The boy from the suburbs who dreamed big until power curdled him. Part of me, the old Fiona, wavered. Forgive? Walk away?
No.
Controversy be damned. I pulled the USB from my pocket. The full files.
Leak this.
Or I do it myself. And your name's mud forever. He snatched it, eyes wild. But as he turned to flee, Crow materialized, ghostly in his bespoke Tom Ford. Smile like a shark's. "Mister."
Ahorki.
Isn't it? The PI with a grudge.
How?
A plant in Declan's network.
Probably.
The old man circled, voice silk over steel. "Fiona's little game ends here. Walk away. Or join her in the cells." The standoff stretched, tension coiling like a spring. Revelers laughed beyond the curtain, oblivious. My debatable decision. Pull the pin. I lunged, not at Crow, but Victor, shoving him into the mogul. USB tumbling into the fray. Chaos erupted. Shouts. Security swarming. Files scattering like confetti at a funeral. Crow snarled. "You'll regret this." But it was too late. The gala dissolved into scandal, cops hauling Victor in cuffs. Crow lawyered up but leaking like a sieve. 24 hours remained. I vanished into the night, hailing a cab to Logan, where my old body waited in Declan's care. But the twist, the gut punch reversal, hit via a 6 a.m. news alert on the cabbie's radio. Breaking. DA Victor Hargrove exonerated in bribery probe. Wife Fiona Hargrove confesses to forgery in suicide note.
Suicide note?
My body, found in Declan's apartment. Wrist slashed. A forged confession blaming it all on me. The frame. The leaks. A descent into madness. Declan's soul had swapped back prematurely. Or been forced, Crow's doing. A counter-ritual from some dark contact. And in my skin, he'd written the end, Me as the villain. Victor the victim. Crow untouched. The city bought it. Tragic turn. Betrayed wife's final act. Polls rebounded. Victor's sob story sealed the AG nomination. I, in Declan's dying husk, stumbled from the cab. Lungs burning. The cancer's grip tightening like irony's fist. No happy ending. No tidy bow. Just me, a stranger in a stranger's body, watching my life erased from afar. But debatable? Hell yes. Was I the monster for the swap, the leaks, the shove? Or was revenge the only justice in a system built for kings like Crow? As the sun clawed over the skyline, I lit Declan's last camel, exhaling smoke like secrets. 48 hours up, soul fraying at the edges. I'd failed the revenge, but cracked the facade. Doubts lingered. Investigations simmered. Victor would win, but sleep with one eye open. And me, Fiona Hargrove, ghost or not, I'd haunt them all. Because in America, the dead don't stay buried. They rise.
Pissed off and plotting.
The cancer hit like a sucker punch 2 hours after the ritual's echo faded. Declan's body, my temporary fortress, betrayed me faster than Victor ever had, a dull ache blooming in my gut like kudzu on a rusting fence. I collapsed onto his sagging couch, the news blaring from a rabbit-eared TV, pundits dissecting the gala fiasco, Victor's tearful presser outside the precinct. My heart breaks for Fiona, he croaked, eyes dry as the Sahara. She was lost long before this.
Lost.
As if I were a set of keys, misplaced in the laundry of his ambition. I laughed, a wet hack that tasted of copper, and fumbled for his phone. No signal, Crow's reach, jamming the block like he jammed the zoning board.
Fine.
I'd go analog. Declan's memories surfaced in flashes, a lockbox under the floorboards, stuffed with Polaroids of stakeouts, a snub-nosed .38 wrapped in oilcloth, and a ledger of grudges, names crossed out in red, stories of cops on the take, wives beaten in bungalows. One entry gutted me, his daughter, Riley, 14 when the crooked sergeant planted dope in her backpack, turning a shoplift into a felony. Declan lost custody. She OD'd at 16. The swap wasn't just revenge for me, it was his unfinished symphony. I pocketed the gun, lighter than sin, and hit the streets. Pilsen at dawn was a watercolor of murals and Ticarius stirring to life. Murals of Aztec warriors glaring down like judges. First order, Elena. If Crow's pawn was flipping, I'd squeeze her dry before the board erased her. Her Pilates studio in Bucktown, Zen Flow Yoga, all succulents and affirmations, opened at 7 a.m. I lurked in the alley, trench coat blending with the dumpsters, until she arrived in her Audi, tires crunching gravel like bones. She unrolled her mat inside, oblivious, flowing through sun salutations as if downward dog could downward spiral her sins away. I slipped in the back door, Declan's PI tricks, jimming locks with a credit card, and waited in the supply closet, heart hammering a tattoo of fury. When the class cleared, she lingered, scrolling her phone, face a roadmap of regret.
Elena igrawled.
Stepping out, .38 loose in my pocket but heavy in intent. She yelped, phone clattering, scrambling back against the mirrors. Who, O'Rourke? How did you? Recognition dawned, pieced from the gala whispers. Fiona. Oh God. It's you. No denial. Just horror. Like I'd risen from her nightmares.
Good.
Tell me everything. I said. Voice Declan's rumble, but laced with my venom. From the beginning. Crow's hooking you. She slid down the wall, legs folding like origami, tears carving tracks through her bronzer. It spilled then. A confessional torrent. Crow recruited her fresh from Northwestern Poli-Sci, promising mentorship, a fast track to City Hall. The affair? His script: seduce Victor, bind him. When Victor wavered on the bribes, Crow fed him the frame. Your wife's sperm is dirty. Clean it up, or lose it all. Elena knew, stayed silent, complicit in my downfall because ambition's a blindfold. And the suicide note? I pressed, gun hand twitching. Her eyes widened. What note, Fiona? I swear, after the gala, Crow called me into his office. Said if I breathed a word, I'd join you in the ground. He has people.
Phi.
Ex-feds. Off-books. The reversal crystallized. Crow hadn't just countered the swap, he'd staged my death to bury the truth, painting me as the unhinged harpy. Elena's interview?
Bait.
Drawing me out for the kill. Controversy clawed at me. Shoot her? Here. In this temple of tranquility, the headlines would scream yoga guru gunned down by ghost wife, turning my vengeance to villainy.
No.
I holstered the .38, grabbed her phone instead. You're coming with me. We end this together. She resisted. You're crazy. He'll destroy us. But fear won. She followed, slipping into my Declan's beat-up Chevy as rain lashed the windshield like accusations. We drove south, toward Crow's fortress, a glass spire in Streeterville, Crow Development's HQ, where deals were sealed with handshakes and souls sold by fax. Elena's access badge got us past the lobby drones morning. Vasquez and into the service elevator, hearts sinking in dread. His penthouse office was a shrine to excess, mahogany desk the size of a Buick, walls lined with photos of handshakes, governors, celebs, the Pope once. For Christ's sake. Crow was there, back to the door, dictating to an invisible aide. Spin it as mental health awareness. Donate to a fund in her name. I cleared my throat, Declan's phlegm rattling, and he turned, slow as a glacier. Face unchanging, patrician nose, eyes like polished agates. O'Rourke. Or should I say, Hargrove? Predictable. No shock. Just amusement. Like I'd brought a finger painting to the Louvre. Elena whimpered beside me, but I stepped forward. Gun out now. Steady despite the tumor's fire in my belly. You staged it all, I said, voice echoing off the windows. The bribes, the frame, even the suicide.
Why?
One leak, and your empire crumbles. He chuckled, pouring scotch from a crystal decanter, offering a glass like we were at a cocktail party. Empires aren't built on why, Fiona. They're built on who bends. Victor was clay, you were the crack. As for the swap, charming folklore. My associate in Belfast owed me a favor. Reversed it with a phone call. The associate, some occult fixer in the Windy City's shadows, trading in curses like stocks. Crow's web was vast. Threads in every crevice, politicians, press, even the ritual underworld. Elena bolted then, a desperate dash for the door. But his security detail materialized, 2 bruisers in Brooks Brothers. Tasers humming. One grabbed her. She screamed, nails raking his face. My shot went wide, warning fire into the ceiling. Plaster raining like dandruff, but it froze them. Let her go, I snarled. Or the next one's in your boss's knee. Crow sipped, unperturbed.
Shoot.
And you're the madwoman who killed her husband in a borrowed body. No one believes ghosts. Debatable decision, too. Lower the gun? Trust Elena's flip?
No.
I fired, grazed the guard's shoulder. Blood blooming on his shirt like a Rorschach test. A chaos. Elena wrenching free. Tackling the second guard, Crow diving for a panic button under his desk. I lunged, tackling him, the .38 skittering across the Persian rug. Fists flew, his surprisingly wiry, mine fueled by 5 years of prison yard rage. We rolled, grunting, his signet ring splitting my lip, my elbow cracking his rib. Elena snatched the gun, voice breaking. Enough. She aimed not at me, but him. You used me.
Harlan.
Promised power. Delivered chains. The shot echoed, deafening in the expanse, into his thigh. Arterial spray painting the credenza red. No gore for the faint-hearted, but real enough to shatter the myth. The king, bleeding on his throne. Security swarmed then, but sirens wailed below. Anonymous tip from Elena's phone. 911 queued before we ascended. Crow writhed, clutching his leg. Empire leaking out with the blood. You'll pay, he gasped. But his eyes, those agate eyes, held not fear, but calculation. The twist deepened as medics hauled him away. Victor burst in, flanked by feds. Fiona? My ex, face ashen, staring at Declan's body like a poltergeist. He'd pieced it too, the swap rumors from Crow's ravings in the ambulance. But the reversal hit like vertigo. Victor wasn't saving the day. He was the cleanup crew. Arrest them, he barked to the agents, cuffing Elena first. Conspiracy, attempted murder. Me next. Wrists zip-tied. The cancers ache now a roar.
Beak.
You bastard. I started, but he leaned close, breath hot. You think I wanted this? Crow owned me.
Fie.
The frame was his idea.
But I
chose to let it happen. For us. For a future without the dirt. For us, the lie curdled. He'd profited. AG nod locked.
Crows fall his ladder.
Elena spat as they dragged her. He knew about the ritual. Fiona. Tipped Crow. Betrayal squared. Victor. Not just complicit, but the architect's apprentice. The gala shove, his ploy to force my hand, exposed the swap as insanity. As they shoved me into the squad car, rain sheeting the windows, I glimpsed the skyline, Chicago's jagged teeth gnashing at the gods. 12 hours left in this shell, soul slipping like sand. Debatable? Absolutely. Had I dragged Elena into hell, or freed her, was Victor redeemable? A pawn like me, or the devil in denial? The city blurred, and I whispered to the glass, not over yet. The holding cell in the 18th district smelled like bleach and broken promises, stale coffee grounds ground into the concrete. Echoes of shouts from the bullpen like ghosts at a wake. They strip-searched me. Declan's body a map of scars they poked like exhibits. The liver spots. The surgical scar from a bar fight in '09. The tattoo on his forearm, Riley's dad in Celtic knots. Sign here. O'Rourke, the desk sergeant grunted, oblivious to the farce. Fiona Hargrove was dead by suicide. I was just some washed-up gumshoe caught in a rich man's spat. Victor visited at dusk. Slick in a fresh suit, the AG pin glinting like a badge of dishonor. Glass partition between us. Phones heavy as anchors. Phi, he started. Voice pitched for the cameras he knew were rolling protocol. Or paranoia. This ends now. Confess to the shooting. Impersonation. Whatever the hell that body swap nonsense is. I'll cut you a deal. Time served. Maybe psych eval. I pressed the receiver to my ear. Declan's rasp cutting through. Time served? For taking the fall you pinned on me? For the affair you scripted with Crow's blessing? His face twitched. Micro-tell of the liar unmasked. I did it for you, he lied. Eyes darting. Crow threatened us both. The frame kept you safe. Plea deal over trial. Less scrutiny. Safe. The words soured like milk left in the sun. Flashes of Logan assailed me. The nights I curled on a thin mattress, replaying our wedding vows like a masochist's mixtape, wondering if he'd even visited my parents' graves after Mom's cancer took her. He hadn't. Safe, I echoed, mocking. While you betted Elena and climbed on my bones. The guard shifted. Uncomfortable, these weren't conjugal visits. The real confession clawed out then, his voice dropping to a hiss. It was mutual.
Phi.
You buried yourself in work, ignored the signs. Crow offered a way out for both of us. The bribes? Chump change for the greater good. Housing projects. Jobs. I slammed the phone down, but he kept talking. Frantic. The ritual? I found out from her phone. Hired the fixer to reverse it. Staged the note. To protect you from yourself. Protect. The ultimate gaslight. Debatable decision 3. Believe him? The boy I married. The one who'd proposed on Navy Pier with fireworks blooming like hope? Or the man who'd chosen power over pledge? I leaned in, fogging the glass. Protect? You killed me, Vic. And for what? Crow's throne. He flinched, then straightened, DA armor snapping back. Sign the deal, or it's life for O'Rourke's murder. Your call. He left me with that. The cell door clanging like a guillotine. Sleep evaded. The cancer gnawing deeper. Visions of my old body, slashed wrists staged in Declan's tub, haunting like a bad acid trip. Declan's memories bled in. Riley's laugh. High and bright before the system stole her. His own frame-up. Badge planted by the sergeant who'd later eat a bullet from shame. Parallels stacked like Jenga, innocence crushed under boots of the blue and the suited. Dawn brought Elena. Orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame. Hair a greasy tangle. Shared cell block for high-profile females, irony's gift. She paced, chain rattling, until exhaustion dropped her onto the bunk opposite. He played us both, she whispered, voice raw from screaming at her public defender. Crow? Victor's mentor since law school. Groomed him like a prize bull. Affair was test 1. Frame test 2. I was test 3. Loyalty under fire. Her story filled the gaps. Crow, sensing Victor's squeamishness, dangled Elena as honey trap. When Victor bit, Crow pushed the envelope, frame the wife.
Prove your spine. And
Ambitious fool. Enabled it, thinking it'd bind him closer. But Victor's twist, he confided in her post-frame, plotting a long con against Crow. He said he loved you still, she admitted, eyes downcast. That the divorce was theater, to sell the betrayal. Plan was to gather evidence, flip on Crow after the election.
Love.
The word landed like a live wire. Debatable. Had Victor's protection been a warped redemption arc? Sacrificing our marriage to build a case? Or deeper deceit? Stringing Elena along while I languished? She slid a contraband note under the bunk, scratched on napkin. R. In holding. Help her. Riley, Declan's daughter, pulled in as material witness to the suicide, her foster scars reopening. Sympathy cracked my shell, Elena. Not monster, but mirror, another pawn polished to shine. We get out, I murmured, mind racing. Declan's PI brain kicked in, weak links in the chain, overworked guards. A back door to the evidence locker. The gun?
Confiscated.
But his ledger mentioned a plant, a mole in the department. Grudge against Victor from a botched raid. Hours blurred into scheming. By lights out, we'd bribed a trustee with Elena's diamond stud, swallowed for smuggling, for a shank from the kitchen. Not for killing, but leverage. Midnight raid on the guard booth, Elena distracting with sobs. Me slipping the shank to the key guy, let Riley go. Or it'd find your kidney. He balked. But the mole's whisper earlier. Victor's dirty. Kid's leverage tipped him. Riley emerged. 17 now. All sharp edges and Declan's eyes. Foster system grinding her to grit. We three, ghosts in chains, bolted through the service tunnels. Emerging into a freight yard under sodium lights. Sirens wailed distant. The breakout headline fodder for Victor's tough on crime reel. Riley clutched my hand, her father's. Technically, whispering, "You're not him."
But.
Thanks. The cancer surged. Vision spotting black. But adrenaline was morphine. Safe house. Declan's old contact. A Ukrainian mechanic in little village with a garage full of ghosts, stolen plates. False walls. There. Piecing the final puzzle, Riley's phone held voicemails from Auntie, Elena's burner. Post-gala pleas to Victor. End it. For Fiona. He'd ignored them. But one attachment, audio of Crow boasting to a crony, Hargrove's mine. Wife's the key, break her. Own him. Climax brewed. Crash Victor's victory party. The AG announcement at the Palmer House. Chandeliers dripping opulence over politicos toasting the machine. Dressed in scavenged finery, Elena's clutch purse hiding the shank, we infiltrated as staff, Riley's youth her cover. The ballroom thrummed. Jazz band swinging like no scandal swung. Victor at the podium. Elena's betrayal spun as tragic misunderstanding, my suicide a footnote. I waited in the wings. Declan's cough muffled by a napkin. Riley's hand steadying me. When he raised his glass, to justice. Serve hot or cold. I stepped into the light. Voice booming. Cold. Vic. Like the cell you locked me in. Gasps rippled, security tensed. Elena flanked me. Riley at her side, trio of furies. You. Victor breathed. Mike trembling. How? But I cut him. Holding up the phone. Audio cued. Crow's voice slithering out. Damning as gospel. The room froze. Flashes popping like gunfire. Debatable apex. Expose him here. Public pyre? Or mercy? Private plea? The chaos chose. Donors fleeing. Aides shouting. Victor lunging for the phone. We grappled him sleek. Me fading, until Riley screamed, "Dad would hate you." The words landed. Victor staggering. But the twist reversed again. Feds burst in, not ours. But his. Stand down. Hargrove, the lead barked. Victor's cleanup. Tipped by his own mole hunt. As cuffs clicked, mine. Elena's. Riley's. I locked eyes with him across the melee. Was any of it real? I rasped. He mouthed yes, but his eyes screamed never. The cancer crested. World tilting. 6 hours ticking down. The ambulance ride was a blur of sirens and strobes. Declan's body carted from the Palmer house like yesterday's trash. IVs snaking into veins that weren't mine. Elena and Riley separated in the scrum, her to Cook County lockup. The teen to juvie psych shouted promises into the night. We'll fight this. For Fiona. But fight what? The truth. Inverted once more. Broadcast on every channel by midnight. Fugitives apprehended in AG assassination plot. Late DA aide Elena Vasquez. PI's daughter lead rampage. Victor. Unscathed. Spun gold from the ash. Press conference at dawn. Face grave as Lincoln's. Decrying the tragic web of deception that claimed my wife's life and nearly mine. Crow.
From his hospital bed.
Corroborated via statement. Victim of radical elements. Grateful for swift justice. The audio? Deep fake, per Victor's tech expert. A Silicon Valley import with a TED Talk on forensics. Public ate it. Sympathies surged. Polls hitting Nixonian highs. Chicago, city of big shoulders and bigger cons, shrugged. Another scandal swallowed by the lake.
Me?
Interrogated in Methodist's ICU. Tubes breathing for me. Detectives circling like vultures. O'Rourke or Hargrove, start talking, the lead growled. Notepad poised. Declan's memories supplied alibis, half-truths of a dying man's final score, but my soul frayed. The swap's magic unraveling like cheap thread. Flashes, my real body. Autopsied and ash scattered by Victor over my wishes. A lakeside service with no one but him and Elena's ghost. Debatable endgame. Confess. Fade as Declan? Or burn it down? Truth be damned? The priest came at noon. Standard for the dying. Catholic guilt on a timer.
Father O'Malley.
Irony's wink. Heard my ramble, the ritual, the revenge. Victor's layered lies. He crossed himself, murmuring absolution, but slipped a number, his brother's. A Sun-Times stringer hungry for scoops. Tell your tale.
Child.
God's the judge. The press is the jury. I did. Dictated from the bed. Voice a wheeze. The full saga. Affair. Frame. Swap. Crow's strings. Victor's complicity twisted into collusion. The brother transcribed. Email drafts. Exclusive. The woman who came back from the dead. By evening, it leaked. Viral as sin. Fiona Lives trending. Skeptics versus believers duking it out in comment wars. Was it hoax? Hoax within hoax? Or the mother of all gotchas?
Victor visited then.
Alone. The room dimmed to twilight. No glass. Just beeps and his cologne, Acqua di Parma. Scent of our honeymoon in Napa. Fie, he whispered, hand hovering over mine. Declan's knuckles bruised from the fray.
Stop this.
The story's poison. Sign the retraction. Live out your days as O'Rourke. Pensioned off.
Live.
The offer dangled. Controversial as cyanide. Mercy or muzzle. His eyes pleaded, boyish. Almost the same gaze that won me at a bar in Wrigleyville. Promising forever over bad IPAs. It was real. Once, he said, voice cracking. The plan against Crow. It started true. But power. Fie, it warps. I couldn't stop. Couldn't. Or wouldn't. The reversal finalized. He wasn't puppet or puppeteer. But both, trapped in Crow's game. Then master of his exit. The frame? To shield me from testifying if Crow turned. The affair? Leverage. A thorn to pull Victor back. Elena's seduction? Crow's test. Passed when Victor confessed to her. plotting the flip. But the ritual's reversal? Panic, saving me from a body that'd kill me. Staging suicide to end the cycle. I loved you enough to let you go, he finished. Tear tracing his cheek. Debatable climax. Forgive. Reclaim a fractured us? Or condemn? Let the leak loose? The cancer decided, seizing my chest in vice grip. Alarms wailed. Nurses swarmed. In the haze, I gasped, publish it. All of it. The priest's brother hit send as Victor bolted, face crumbling. Soul slipped then, agony inverting. World writing. I woke in limbo. Or afterlife. Or just ether, a gray expanse. Declan waiting. Riley's ghost at his side. You did good, kid, he rumbled, clapping my shoulder, my real one. Fiona's. Unscarred. Gave em hell. No heaven's gates. Just echoes, headlines scrolling like credits. AG resigns amid new allegations. Crow indicted on racketeering. Elena freed on technicals. Her tell-all book deal. Riley, emancipated. Scholarship to Northwestern. But the ending? No tidy tragedy or triumph. Victor vanished. Rumors of a Mexican beach. Or a noose in his study.
Depending on the forum.
Forums raged. Fiona the Avenger or delusional fraud. Debates in diners. Dissections on podcasts. Did the swap exist? Or was it metaphor for rage reborn?
Me?
I lingered. Untethered. Haunting the net's underbelly. Whispering truths to the doubters. Chicago spun on. Machine oiled with fresh lies. But cracks remained, betrayals unearthed. Secrets exhumed. Revenge? Not victory. But virus, spreading doubt, forcing reckonings. And in the quiet hours, when the city hums its neon lullaby, I wonder, was it worth the swap? The blood? The bodies borrowed? Hell yes. Because in America, the grave's just a plot twist. And mine? It's wide open.